likely sitting there thinking that Sion is in a pretty good place, right? Now, I usually make these videos on RIP XYZ because the champion is a husk of their former selves, and you might not agree with that at all in this case. I see Sion these days far more often than I really used to see Sion at all back in the day. In fact, you probably could say that he's in the best place that he's ever been. However, if you are coming here with that opinion, I'm not trying to sound cocky or anything, but I'm gonna blow your fucking mind wide open with a single image. Look at this guy. Look at him. He's a fucking unit, and he's not afraid to put you in the fucking ground. I'm genuinely sat here just mesmerized at how outrageously awful Sion used to look, but how much love I actually still hold for him.
Look at the top of his head.
3. He's a tanky bruiser motherfucker who even in death would still rise from the fucking grave for a good couple of seconds with the intent purpose of beating the ever-loving bejesus out of you. I mean, for real, this boy died, and instead of him reflecting on his death and trying to figure out what mistake you made to die, Sion players just took the brakes straight the fuck off the car and started gas pedaling that shit into a ditch like. But back in the day, that passive didn't exist, for one very simple, reasonable reason, really, in all honesty. This motherfucker just simply didn't die. If he had this passive back in the day, it would have been completely redundant because between his outrageously annoying kit that made him tanky as hell with massive shields, he also had ridiculous lifesteal. This boy would run at you like the Terminator. Funnily enough, actually having voice lines at the time that referenced Arnold Schwarzenegger movies like Predator. And it was terrifying to see anytime you had him in one of your games. For a lengthy period of time, this man was a pick or ban, and if he was on the other team, someone better fucking dodge, or I swear to Christ, I'm disco nooning it up mid to end this game as fast as fucking humanly possible. Now let me explain to you now, through the magic of YouTube, why Sion is dead in his current state. RIP.
Ah, fuck!
Sorry. So Sion never really used to be an AD bruiser back when I really fell in love with him. Sure, you could go full AD on him, and it was also pretty hilarious, but his true strength came out when he built full AP. Compared to him now, his AP scaling is fucking pitiful. Now let's look at his shield first, for instance right now. So in 2017, Sion, his shield, at level 4, it shoots for 105 health, okay? This has a 40% AP ratio, by the way. And it gives a little bit of his max health as well. So that's not too bad, right? That's not too bad. Old Sion though, his shield gives you an 100 damage shield too. At level 1. This not only has the same shielding in a quarter of the time, but also has a 90% AP scaling too. Meaning that at level 5 of this ability, you very easily had a 300 damage flat shield with a 90% AP scaling ratio. And if you actually let it blow up, it actually dealt a fucking redonkulous amount of damage with a 90% AP scaling ratio also. I mean, Christ, the damage off of these shields back in the day, they are almost triple what they are today. I mean, this meant it, even level 1 or 2, you could straight up walk down mid lane into the enemy and smash them for what would be almost a quarter of their HP in a single attack without actually even really attacking them. You just exist near them for a split second and let your shield explode. I get it though. You might think that it's kind of difficult to hit the shield without any real reliable form of CC. Well, Sion sure has some fucking reliable forms of CC, that's for sure. Let me explain that to you. Whilst these days, he has to charge his Q up to knock out people, and admittedly, it's probably a way better spell for teamfights in all honesty, because you can knock up a bunch of people, you can chain it with your ulti, you can follow up from other spells and other CC, and it does a lot of damage. It's pretty decent actually. If you wanted to just ruin a single person's day, one single person that you picked out of the enemy team to just fucking tilt and to ruin, Old Sion was your shit. Old Sion was the perfect candidate for doing something like that. There was literally nothing better to tilt an enemy team member than to have Sion's fucking cryptic gaze. It was a point and click stun that had more range than basically any character in League of Legends at the time in terms of auto attack range, so it was very, very difficult for them to actually outrun you or to farm without being stunned by this. Also considering the fact that mid lane Sion, a lot of the time they used to just build mobility boots and run around the map constantly, not even really giving a shit about farm because they farm champions. Now at the time, it dealt a base damage of 300 at level 5, and it had a fucking 90% AP ratio on top of that as well, stunning them for 1.5 seconds flat. It didn't change at all over the 5 levels on an 8-second cooldown if you max it first. Now this was the most tragic, frustrating thing to lane against back in the day, and alongside his shield, it would make him nigh impossible to kill if you somehow couldn't burst him down immediately when you saw him before he used all this shit. Now he would start his shield, he would run at you, he'd Q you, and then his shield would detonate and you'd have lost a minimum of 50% HP. Because you made the mistake of going into the lane that you were supposed to be fucking farming from. Now this bulkiness is supplemented even more so by the fact that Sion used to have a passive that would also it would give him a 40% chance to reduce 50% of all damage from basic attacks. Christ. So even staying way back as an AD carry, it would never be enough. If you were playing Tristana or Kog'Maw or something, even that wasn't quite enough to bring him down, since almost half the time, your basic attacks would just fucking tickle him, making him just more angry. Now to further supplement this outrageous tankiness, if he's sitting in a free lane, he's likely going to want to farm. Now with his E in Rage, it had 2 functions, and it functions a lot similarly to the passive that he has these days actually. If you toggle it on, if you had it maxed, you gained 65 flat AD, but your attacks also cost up to 14 health per attack, which really isn't a whole lot, is it? For what is almost an Infinity Edge's worth of AD, you only lose 14 health per attack, so even if you're completely out of mana, you can just boost yourself with enough AD to put even a Tryndamere to shame and just shit all over Dreams whilst you wait to get a stun up. Alongside this, any unit killed by Sion, minion, champion, whatever, would give him a permanent boost of HP for up to 3 health per kill, doubled against large minions or enemy champions. So assuming that you're in a game for maybe like 40 minutes and you happen to have 240 CS, which isn't really that difficult to get in that amount of time, and he's been smart about using his E, he could easily have up to 600 odd extra health that will scale infinitely and only make him more impossible to kill as the game goes on, because he did a fundamental part of the game and actually farmed some minions. Now this alongside his ultimate meant that he could essentially just go full lifesteal back in the day. Just get a little bit of attack speed and then build 4 fucking Bloodthirsters, and unless you were chain CC'd for about 19 seconds into Oblivion, your E wouldn't even hurt you due to the lifesteal. So you had ridiculous sustain, massive AD, a shield if shit gets wild so you can heal up underneath that shield, and a stun that's duration doesn't scale with levels, so you'll always be able to stun for a second and a half even if it's only got 1 point in it. All the while, you're slowly but surely getting tankier and tankier despite the fact that you're building full AD. But I guess full AD doesn't sound all that scary, does it? Well, his ultimate, it might just change that. Let's see. The Cannibalism was his ultimate, and for 20 seconds, Sion would gain up to 100% lifesteal, 50% bonus attack, and not only would he heal himself a lot during this time, but any damage he dealt would heal his teammates around him for up to 50% of the damage dealt too. Now, it was bad enough trying to bring this almighty fucker down back in the day, especially when champions like old Soraka were actually still running around giving them perma health, perma mana, but imagine having another Soraka on the enemy team, except this one can completely obliterate you in a fraction of the time, but still heal just as much to their entire team at once in the process. This spell was essentially the anti-gank button when Sion was played. If you get into a pinch and the enemy laner comes running into your fucking lane from river, you slap this spell on alongside your enrage, and for the next 20 seconds, you just fucking dare people to come into axe range for you to show them why trying to gank your lane was the worst fucking idea they've had all year. Now, if you saw the full AD Sion drop this ulti, everyone in your team suddenly went into emergency evacuation mode and spent the next 20 odd seconds trying to kite, juke, or just generally run away from Sion until his ulti was down before they could actually fight. Sure, Sion's ulti these days is actually still pretty terrifying in its own way, but it's just the fact that such terror was coming from a character that looks like this. That's the messed up part. But hopefully, after this, you've realized just how destructive old Sion was. And I like the new Sion. I'll be honest, I'm absolutely completely fine with him. A big part of me won't miss getting stomped in mid lane by old Sion either, but when you compare him to the sheer hard carry power of old Sion, there really wasn't a whole lot of competition. So, if you will, gentlemen, please assist me in the comments of this video by commenting F and paying your respects to the fallen juggernaut who is but a husk of the beast he used to be. R.I.P. Well guys, thank you very much for watching this video, as usual. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like on the video. If you're new, please feel free to subscribe. The next one I'm gonna do, I'm a bit torn. I might do Master Yi. However, I might also do Tryndamere, because both of those people had very high AP scaling back in the day, and it was very, very funny. But I don't know which one you might be interested in seeing more. So, would you rather see AP Master Yi, RIP at Master Yi, or RIP Tryndamere? Let me know in the comments, or if you are feeling particularly like you want to see something in particular, let me know your suggestion for the next RIP, and if I really, really like it, then I will do it. But until then, guys, we got Why I Hate coming out tomorrow, and that is going to be on a character. I won't spoil it. He's a very annoying character, though. Nevertheless, thank you for watching. Take it easy, guys. Have a good one. See you later.